My name is Heidi Boulanger, and I'm here today to introduce you to Roger Rule, author of The Rifleman's Rifle and other books, and host of this series of episodes, Special Guns with Roger Rule.
Thank you, Heidi. Welcome, viewers, to my 25th episode of Special Guns with Roger Rule. It's been a few years since I uploaded my last episode, number 24, and I feel I owe my faithful followers and subscribers a brief explanation for the hiatus. The short version is the delay was caused by a combination of factors. COVID-19, a major change in my primary residence, and time spent acquiring the collection that I intend to feature in my next dozen or so videos.
You shared with me that this new group of videos has a theme?
It does. The theme of these will be fine Italian guns and brilliant Italian engraving. But some background is needed. Most of us who know guns know that 100 years ago, the fine guns made in London were considered among the best in the world. The designs had reached perfection, and the hand craftsmanship was at its apex of achievement. Today, the British gun industry is stagnated, and according to the authors Steve Smith and Laurie Morrow of the Book of the Italian Gun, and I quote, "British gun makers, even the best, are using antiquated methods, machines, and technology, while the guns they turn out are still guns they developed in the 1880s. There has been little advancement in methods of production. The Italians, on the other hand, have developed a magnificent fine-tuned machinery and systems." Close quote. The authors go on to add, the best guns ever were made in Britain from the turn of the 20th century until the Great Depression, and probably the very best were made before World War I. Back then, British gun makers had the time and manageable labor costs to make perfect guns, and the craftsmen making them literally dedicated their lives to their craft. Today, it costs so much to continue this because labor is so out of proportion to what it was then.
Those were the guns made in London?
Precisely. The author Stephen R. Lamboy, in a private email to me, wrote, referring to the Italian makers Ferlib and Bosis, comparing them to the English Boss over and under, and I quote that. This is from Steve Lamboy. "The parts of the Italian makers still receive the final touch of the master's hand, but they are highly precision machined from materials unavailable at Boss during its heyday." Close quote. Today, in the Italian gunmaker's shop or factory, you might find machine temperature that's maybe computer controlled, and barrels made of miraging steel which possess superior strength and toughness without losing ductability. And as you will find, not all of the Italian makers are using numerically controlled computerized NC or CNC machines, but even those not using them have materials and processes available today that weren't 100 years ago, such as tungsten inert gas, welding, laser welding, miraging steel barrels, UM6, hardened and tempered steel barrels, receiver blocks of boiler ECN 150 steel or chromium 2 steel, just to list a few. Then team these components up with the finest Italian master engravers who have become the finest engravers in the world, and all of these improvements have catapulted Italian gunmaking into the most technological advanced industry of its kind in the world.
So that's the reason behind your new theme. Then what gun do we have here today?
Today we have two guns. I want to share with the reviewers one of the Italian makers that was considered a handmade maker Bertuzzi brothers. They used no computerized machines. It was a company that was a guild maker like Purdy and Holland, London, that outsourced many of its parts, unpolished demi-block barrels with no fittings, action block, and even rough-shaped wood, then assembled, fitted, and finished them totally by hand. Their formal name, F.lli Bertuzzi, is the Italian form, and F.lli is the abbreviation for fratelli, which means brothers. The two brothers, Remigio and Elio, would not take credit for starting the company. They claimed it was actually founded by their great-grandfather over 100 years ago. At the peak of their production, they produced an Anson Dealey box lock side-by-side, a Holland & Holland side lock side-by-side, and an external cock over and under, and a Boss side lock over and under. The locks were produced in-house without through shafts. They used demi-block barrels made of S.I.A.C.E. steel, which are longer lasting and have less recoil. The actions were hardened and tempered. All of their guns were equipped with automatic ejectors, but locks could be ordered hand detachable. Their fore ends were inlaid with their golden shield and crown. All of their guns were made manually by the two brothers. From the book The Italian Gun by Steve Smith and Laurie Morrow, I want to quote, "The Bertuzzi brothers, the Ferrari of Italian guns, are purely guild gun makers in the most conventional terms, but they are craftsmen who practice the high art of fine gun making by hand in the precise manner of their father, and his father before him. 2 pairs of hands are the principal tools of Fratelli Bertuzzi. The most advanced machinery the brothers use are drill presses and lathes. There are no numerically controlled computerized NC or CNC machines. The Bertuzzis rely solely upon their eyes for precision fitting and their hands for masterly finishing and their traditions for the integrity to do it." Close quote. That quote exactly describes why Bertuzzi's guns are and were highly sought after. Then in 2012, to the dismay of most ardent lovers of Italian guns, the Bertuzzi brothers stopped building guns. For this video, we are looking at a fine example of that period of Fratelli Bertuzzi gun making. They called this model the Bertuzzi Venere d'Oro, which is Italian for gold Venus. Venere d'Oro is a 7-pin ejector side lock engraved by the Italian master engraver Zinelli with gold inlays.
If they stopped making these in 2012, when was this one made?
This gun was built in 1988. For its description, it has it's 20 gauge, 2 3/4 inch chambers. It has well-struck chopper lump barrels, choked improved cylinder, and modified. It also has a hand-filed concave game rib. I want to stand up and pick it up. First, we check for safety to see the gun is not loaded. You see, lockup is the Purdy's long-proven double underlug system, but this gun has a third lock. Bertuzzi's third fastener locks into the breech face using the ejectors. Other features for this high-end Bertuzzi include bright coin finish action, fence side clips, beaded fences, and bush strikers with engraved locking screws. You have to see that later. H&H Southgate injectors, non-auto safety, gas escape valves, a single trigger, and top levers checkered for either the right or left-hand shooter. It's usually a sign of a handmade gun to have bush strikers, which are removable striker discs. But it is a rare gun that fits them with engraved locking screws, and rarer yet to have a third lock in this H&H Royal style gun. At this point, I want to disassemble the gun for a close-up view of the breech face and the locking system. Let me point out the third lock. It's right in here. The bush strikers with the locking screws and the side clips. On the water table, we find AT, the Italian code that the gun was made in 1988. It's the serial numbers here, and the Italian proof marks and the stamping Army Bertuzzi. The barrel's flat is marked the same way. Army means gun manufacturer. I want to reassemble the gun. Holding it too high for the camera. I don't usually have that problem. This is one of the rarest Bertuzzi models by the master gunmaker, with beautiful gold inlaid Bulino engraving scenes by the Italian master engraver Zinelli. On the left side is a gold pointer dog in gold, having just flushed a gold quail and a gold ruffed grouse. On the right side are 3 gold partridges in flight. Observe the intricate detail of the surrounding scenes. The bottom is signed simply Zinelli.
I need a magnifying glass to read it. What's the stock made of?
Stock's made out of Turkish wood, Turkish walnut, which is a high quality English walnut, fashioned in the English straight hand style with teardrops right here. It's beautifully figured of rich amber color emblazoned with black marble cake grain, which matches in color and figure with its English style splinter fore-end. Wood to metal fits perfect. The wood is finished with a French polish, a hand-rubbed oil finish that takes many coats and days on end to complete.
I like the little gold shield on the fore end.
That's the famous F.lli Bertuzzi crest. It is inlaid in gold on the forearm and in a design of a diamond field of uncheckered wood surrounded by traditional point pattern checkering. The flawless hand checkering is executed at 32 lines per inch with single borders. It's cut perfectly, and the checkering surrounds the coin-finished inlaid trigger guard tang that ends with an inlaid point, which is a testament to the maestro's stock-making craft. The checkered butt, point to the camera here, has a 14.5-inch length. See those? Those are called heel and toe plates, and they're engraved with a 1 3/8-inch drop at comb and a 2 3/8-inch drop at heel. The gun weighs 5 pounds, 15 ounces, and has a wonderful balance. Looking at the inscriptions on the left barrel, Army F.lli Bertuzzi, Gardoni, VT, Italy, with the maker's name in gold. VT stands for Valtrumpia. In the forearm crest, very small inscription, the maker's name is repeated, Army F.lli Bertuzzi. This is special order 20 bore, has every option in the book. It's just a treasure to behold and a delight to carry. It is accompanied with the maker's leather trunk case with accessories, which we have a close-up of. The entire ensemble is a beautiful original, nearly in mint condition, and represents the best of a fine example of functional art from the incomparable Bertuzzi brothers, the Ferrari of gunmakers, before 2012. Okay, that was then. What about now?
Are they still making guns?
Yes, Bertuzzi is back. Next, I want to show you a new Bertuzzi of what they're making today, still with the same name, F.lli Bertuzzi of Gardone Viti, Italy. While the brothers founders stopped building guns, they turned the reins over to Remigio's son, Paolo Bertuzzi, who was already an accomplished Italian engraver, who recently joined the ranks of his father and uncle, continuing the tradition that Bertuzzi is the Ferrari of Italian guns. With this new model, it clearly shows that moniker is still intact. This is the F.lli Bertuzzi Round Action over and under 20 gauge that is operated with a Sidelever. It is a new gun that came with a tan leather Negrini hard trunk case that I imported through the famous Simpson Limited of Galesburg, Illinois. I'm going to check for unloaded. Now let's disassemble it so we can show you the interior. Holding the barrels, this new Bertuzzi Round Action over and under locks with the Bosis system with side-mounted trunnions, forming the hinge with a fastening bolt that engages in the sides of the lower barrels and has an added third full width bight under the barrels that is engaged by a locking bar under the breech face. Now I'll reassemble it and notice how easy it is with the Sidelever. Besides the amazing action work, Bertuzzi opted to open the action with the Sidelever instead of the traditional Scott spindle top lever, which allows greater opening clearance, making it loading and unloading more convenient. And the Sidelever also makes the gun easier to assemble and disassemble. Looking at the markings, the upper left barrel is marked with the maker's name, F.lli Bertuzzi, Italy. The underside of the barrel is engraved in blue, 2019, Italy.
2019, that's incredibly recent.
For a brief description, Bertuzzi's Round Action Sidelever has 20 gauge demi-block barrels fashioned from UM6 steel, which give better patterns and they're more durable and they don't need chrome plating. It has 3-inch chambers, a hand-filed lever top rib, a tang-mounted combination switch for selective single trigger, and it works very similar to a Beretta SO. A manual safety, 4 retaining locking screws on key screws on the frame, which is a telltale sign of a handmade gun, and 5 concealed A Volta chokes. For the wood, Paolo chose 4-star fancy grade with excellent marbled grain and rich brown colors. It is fitted with a field fore-end with frontal Anson release. Its stock is a classic subtle fluted comb with a Prince of Wales grip. The toe line is inlaid with a gold oval for the buyer's initials. Checkering is hand checkered with double line borders wrapping around the forearm, coming together over the grip with a V. It is slightly cast off for the right hand. Its dimensions are 1.5-inch drop at comb, 2.25-inch drop at heel, with a 14.5-inch length of pull from the trigger to the tan leather-covered recoil pad. It weighs 6 pounds, 7 ounces. Everything has been fitted by hand and eye, same as was done by Paolo's father and his uncle. It's still handmade, hand-finished, and hand-engraved. Paolo himself engraved it with full coverage, deep acanthus scroll engraving with basket weave elements, and signed his name in scroll.
The engraver and the maker are the same?
I verified that with Paula Bertuzzi by email. Look at the close-up photos that we'll be showing, and you will see that both receiver walls are surrounded by scroll engraving with the maker's name and banners for F.lli Bertuzzi. Also, the maker's famous Bertuzzi crest is embedded in a basket weave lattice above two detailed roses on the bottom metal. The basket weave motif is repeated on the upper lever housing, the thumb release, and in a clever design on the top of the receiver extending from the finely matted rib. This is not only hand engraving, it is of the highest quality hand engraving in an artistic design distinctive to this gun. The combination of new features assures Bertuzzi's long-standing reputation as the Ferrari of Italian guns. It has been and still is, as shown by this example of their work. Let's hope F.lli Bertuzzi will continue to show us innovative guns like their famous gull-wing sidelocks of the past and this new Boss-style round action today, and continue masterfully building guns that excites the gun industry. That's it for today. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, viewers, for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, I invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and share with others. And I hope you join us for our next episode, continuing my Italian gun tribute and featuring the fine engraving of another Italian master engraver, Stefano Pedretti.
Ciao, everyone.
If you want to get involved with these types of guns, I recommend gunsinternational.com. The owners are great people. I know them and have been using their website since they started. I find it the best source for both buying and selling any great collectible gun.